Real people, inspiring stories, living legends. Award-winning talk show. Trevor Blackman now.
So then my big question, well, there's two actually, and you cited the fact that if we look at where we are in Black History Month and the Windrush generation, and a lot of them who came to help restructure, and a lot of them went into the health service, as well as our South Asian and Asian communities as well. And for decades have talked about the injustices in the ways that their communities have been treated. How can we bring people along now to start building that trust? It's okay to say a few people at the table now co-designing and stuff, and these so-called community leaders, but they don't speak for everyone and they can't connect to everybody. So how do we get out there and convince people that actually the health service is changing, is listening, and is at the point of access there for everybody?
Well, I mean, the talks that we've been having during COVID, post-COVID, even now, this podcast is one way forward, is educating the communities, getting the message out that things are changing, that you need to seek help, you need to ask for help. It's okay not to be okay. Yes, in the past, you haven't had the access, but now access for medical healthcare or mental health care is available freely for every single person. There's also that stigma, Trevor, in our communities compared to the other communities. In the BAME communities, there's a lot of stigma where people don't want to acknowledge if they're even unwell. So there's a lot of fear, there's anxiety, and there's a lack of, to me, it really boils down about education. Nelson Mandela always said, education is the most powerful weapon. And that is true. It's about education. We saw that when you educate people, when you explain to them about what the mental health condition or medical health conditions are, and if you have these symptoms, please access care. I mean, we all have access to our phone. On the phone, on your computer, there's access to charity organizations. We have a lot of services
but it's also for some Black men, and I'm going to say this from my experiences and from my friendship group, ego. So to admit that there's something wrong, to do something about it. A lot of men feel they can just, charge on, just get on. They don't need to, there's a lump. Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. How do we speak to men and say, one, get over that masculine ego bit, right? And just think of yourself and your family and your friends, and to go and get yourself checked out if you need to. I think there's some targeting that really needs to be, particularly for Black men, to say, look, when we talk about the high cases of testicular cancer, but just because someone felt some and did nothing about it for years, how do we get through the ego? Or am I wrong about this? Is it not ego? Is it something else?
No, it's something I've spoken about before, and I really feel strongly, especially Black male or non-white males, they don't want to seek help, and it's an ego thing. It is an ego thing. Because you grow up in communities where if you have to talk about mental health or physical health, it's taboo. So it actually filters down, it feeds through from your family and the growing up that you have. So in our families, we need to talk openly about mental health, about physical health, and if there's any issues, how to deal with it, any feelings that you have, how to deal with it. Because it's a male thing, it's a macho thing. If you're with a group of friends, Trevor, how confident will you feel yourself to tell them, okay, I'm not feeling like well, this is happening to me. Men don't want to do that, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in on the football field. So this is where we need to think about in the families, talking about it. So whether it's religious organizations, getting people educated to talk about how they're feeling, to talk about raising awareness about physical health and mental health conditions, or in our schools, in our communities. And also, for example, like in the gym, that we need to raise awareness in every social situation possible. So I wouldn't say it's just one institution, one person that has to do it. I would say it has to be at a level where it's everyone's responsibility.
I love that.
I keep on saying it. It's everyone's responsibility to tackle this. Yes, there's inequality, but what do we do about it? And especially I think our community, the BAME community of professionals, and people in that community that are educated, that are able to help I think they need to also drive this.
I think you're absolutely right. And when are you standing for MP, by the way? Because I think I think you need to be our health secretary. You need to be in the House of Parliament. Because you're right. It's about placing things where people are. So if it's the gym, if it's the school, if it's the library, if it's in the shopping centre, wherever people are, place those services and also the publicity to raise awareness about things to them and where they can get support and get help. I think you're absolutely right. And we waste time with buses and leaflets in doctor's surgeries because most of the people who need it don't go into the doctor's surgery to see the leaflet, to pick it up and stuff. You know, it's great for those who are there, but what about those who just don't use it at all? And I've got several friends I could tell you who don't and haven't visited their doctor in decades, let alone bloody years.
I mean, that is really, I mean, it's not surprising. It's believable that this is the situation we're in. And it's about changing the culture. It's educating these people, changing the culture, getting them motivated to seek help. So I think it's about giving incentives. You know, the NHS, they did Change for Life, where they gave incentives. They gave, free services, or like a free Fitbit, or free exercise classes. So it's about people seeking these services, you know, like charity organization. As I've said before, there's a lot of charity organizations, you know, for someone that's going through grief. There's Cruise, there's Mind for mental health. There's so many different organizations that I think even we need to start educating our Wayne community that it's also their right to access these. I think, to be honest, Trevor, I think it's a lot of fear. As much as it's about stigma, it's about distrust, it's a lot about no education or lack of education and awareness. But even if there is the education and awareness, there's a lot of fear. So I think it's about tackling that fear. And, you know, with fear,
you're right. Yes,
you have to just tackle it head on. You know, we need to get more people to speak to our communities. You know, we have a friend, I think, you know, Lyndon Wizard, and he's done this amazing book on how he's reversed his diabetes.
Yeah, I had him on the show.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. And I mean, he helped, you know, Ferdinand when he was with his diabetes. And I think it's just about education. So, you know, it's about people like that, you know, educating in our communities. But to be honest, like with him, the difficulties being that he's not had that support on a government level. You know, he's doing amazing work. And he's helping so many people, and so many more people can benefit. So I do feel somehow, yes, we're moving forward with the inequalities, that the issues that are there, but at the same time, it needs to change on the government level. It needs to change on a community level, and it needs to change on an individual level.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to champion those people who may be doing things in an alternative way, but having a more impact than traditional services as well. And local and national government need to get behind those people, as you said, in terms of Windsor. Look, as always, Dr. Seshni, thank you. I mean, look, we could just talk forever about this. And I think it's something we need to keep tracking, actually, because we started this conversation during the pandemic. In fact, before the pandemic, we were talking about it, and then it was at the height of it. And I think we need to track it, because I really want to hold to account the NHS and social care services and our clinical commission groups across the country, because they are charged to work with communities now to really address inequalities. I want to see how far they truly go. And I think we need to stay across this as well and bring some people in to the conversation, not just who are delivering it, but also receiving those services as well.
Definitely. There's so many champions like Lyndon Wizard I've spoken about, Velma James. She's actually someone you can get on as well. And she's done amazing work with carers, you know, helping carers who are going through difficulties. We never spoke about that, but, you know, that's something as well. We carers don't even know they're struggling day to day just to pay bills, just to take care of their loved ones. And they don't know that there's access to help, that they can get help and respite. So I think it's about, as we said, it's still about education. It's about changing this the historical cognitions or beliefs around what's going on. So it's going to be a process, and if we talk about this more and more, we talk about it and educate people in our communities, I think it's going to go a long way. And you know, thank you so much for having me on. Congrats on your podcast. I'm so excited to listen to it. And definitely, you know, any other champions that are driving force for these inequalities in our communities for access to healthcare and physical, mental and physical healthcare. You should get them on and get them to talk about it.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Seshni. Thank you so much.
Follow Trevor now on Instagram @OfficialTBN Show.